Okay, let's just jump right in. At first glance, you've got these two totally separate worlds, right? On one side, you have luxury hotels and these massive multi-million-dollar ski resorts. And on the other, you have these pixelated playgrounds like Roblox and Fortnite, where millions of kids are battling it out. Well, what if I told you they're actually colliding, and it's one of the most fascinating business strategies we've seen in a long time? We're going to break down why your next vacation might actually start inside a video game.
So it all starts with this number right here, 380 million. That is the number of people playing Roblox every single month. To give you some perspective, that's more than the entire population of the United States. This is not just a game anymore. It's basically a digital nation with its own culture, its own economy, and millions of citizens logging in every single day.
And that's a fair question, right? The connection seems, well, non-existent. But for some of the biggest names in travel and hospitality, that digital nation of 380 million people isn't some silly distraction. It's their single biggest opportunity. And the reason why comes down to this massive challenge they're all staring down.
And this gets us to the core of the issue. Industries like skiing, well, they have a really serious problem. Their most loyal customers are getting older, and the next generation, they just aren't showing up to take their place. This isn't just some small dip in sales. This is a potential crisis for their entire business model.
Look, this isn't just my opinion. This is a direct warning coming from industry analysts. For huge companies like Vail Resorts, they know that if they want to grow in the future, they have to figure out how to get Gen Z excited about hitting the slopes. But the data, well, it shows just how huge that challenge really is.
I mean, these numbers are just wow. A staggering 96.6% of Gen Z has never even tried skiing or snowboarding. Think about that. When almost 97% of your target audience has zero experience with your main product, you don't have a marketing problem, you have a relevance problem. You can't just run another TV ad and hope for the best. You have to find a completely new way in.
And that leads us to this solution, which is both totally unexpected and, when you think about it, brilliantly logical. If your future customers aren't coming to the mountains, well, you've got to bring the mountains to them. You have to meet them where they already are, in their natural habitat.
This is where these user-generated games, or UGC games, come into play. Honestly, the best way to think about these platforms is as the new digital malls and playgrounds. They are the social hubs. This is where young people are hanging out, discovering new trends, and really forming their identities. For brands, once you realize that, it changes everything.
What we're seeing is this massive shift in where brands and customers actually meet. The old ways are just not as effective. You know, a brand that insists on only advertising on TV to reach a 15-year-old, it's like a fisherman casting a net into a dried-up lake. The fish are somewhere else entirely, and the brands that get this are seeing just incredible results.
Just take a look at Nike. They built this virtual world on Roblox called Nike Land. And get this, it pulled in over 20 million visits. That's 20 million people choosing to spend their time interacting with the Nike brand, playing games and dressing up their little avatars in virtual Nike gear. This isn't an ad you skip, it's a destination you actively choose to go to.
But here's the billion-dollar question, right? Does any of this virtual fun actually translate into real-world customers and, real-world money? Or is it all just expensive digital window dressing? Well, some of the biggest brands out there are betting that it absolutely does.
Let's take Hilton Hotels as a perfect case study. They didn't just build a virtual hotel on Roblox for fun. No, they designed a direct pipeline with a very clear goal: turn players into loyal, paying customers. Their strategy was incredibly direct. So Hilton created the simple three-step loyalty loop. Step 1, you play games in their virtual world. Step 2, that gameplay earns you actual, real-world Hilton Honors points. And Step 3, the best players could even win Diamond Elite status for a whole year. They're not just handing out virtual badges, they're connecting gameplay directly to real-world value that you can actually use.
And Hilton really put its money where its mouth is. They gave away over 12 million honors points to Roblox players. Just think about that for a second. They essentially paid millions of young people in loyalty currency just to join their ecosystem. The bet is that a teenager who gets their first taste of elite status with Hilton today is way more likely to book a Hilton for their spring break trip in 5 years.
And it's not just hotels doing this. Entire countries are getting in on the action. Tourism New Zealand created a stunningly accurate, playable version of their entire country inside of Minecraft. The goal was pretty simple: let millions of people from around the world explore and fall in love with a virtual New Zealand, and hopefully some of them will book a plane ticket to see the real thing.
And they had a very specific number in mind. This whole campaign was projected to bring in an extra 50 million New Zealand dollars in tourist spending in just 1 year. This really proves that a well-designed virtual experience isn't just a marketing campaign. It can be a real economic driver. But to get why it works so well, we have to look under the hood at the psychology of it all.
So, why is interacting with a brand inside a game so much more powerful than just seeing an ad for it? Well, it all comes down to the fundamental psychology of how we engage, how we connect, and how we form loyalty, all through play.
Just consider the difference here. On the left, you've got the old model. It's passive. You're just a spectator watching an ad or scrolling through a feed. But on the right, you have a gamified experience where you are an active participant. You're solving problems, achieving goals, connecting with the community. That active investment of your time and your emotion, it creates a much, much stronger bond with the brand.
We can really boil it down to this simple but powerful chain reaction. It all starts with enjoyment. The game has to be genuinely fun. That fun leads to active engagement. That active engagement forges an emotional connection. And that emotional connection? That's the bedrock of true, lasting brand loyalty. It's a formula, really.
And hey, this isn't just some theory. It's backed up by actual research. This quote from a tourism study confirms the entire model. And the key word in all of this is enjoyable. Fun isn't some frivolous extra here. It is the engine that drives the entire loyalty machine. But you might be thinking, okay, this is all great for kids and teens, but what about everyone else?
Well, that's one of the most surprising things about this whole strategy. While it definitely started with a focus on Gen Z, smart brands are now realizing that the principles of gamification can be adapted to appeal to every single generation, from teenagers all the way up to their grandparents.
You can see how the core motivations really shift across the generations. You know, Gen Z wants a virtual place to hang out with friends. Millennials are looking for a fun family activity. Gen X is often drawn to nostalgia, and for boomers, it can be a brand new way to connect with their grandkids. The specific game might be different for each group, but that underlying principle of engagement is exactly the same.
So ultimately, what we're witnessing isn't just a new advertising channel. It's a complete evolution in the relationship between a brand and its audience. It's the shift from marketing at people to building communities with them. And that is a really powerful and likely permanent change.
And that leaves us with one last thought. We're seeing this in travel and in retail, but the applications are truly endless. From healthcare to education, the principles of engagement through play are starting to reshape everything. So the real question isn't if more parts of our lives will be gamified, it's which part is next.